So now let's talk about the size and pool. Like, how many people apply for a Posse Scholarship in a school year?
Yeah, in the school year, so at Posse they received 21,000 nominations this year for the class of 2026. So it's a huge pool of nominations of students that show leadership skills just like me. So yeah.
So now, how do they go through those applications, identify who they want to interview and who makes the next stage?
So the first round interview, I think that's what sets the stone. That's what sets the goals of the students. So the first round interview, they ask a bit of demographics, but the first interview you get in a group of about 100 students to basically work as a team. So there's a lot of
Projects or
yeah. Now, could you repeat the question again?
Sure.
Sorry.
So, how do they, 21,000 applications is a lot. That's a lot of applications. How do they winnow down that number to take people to the next stage of their process?
Yeah, so for my occasion, what Posse does is they go through a process of interviews. So instead of looking at just your grades, at your essays, they look at who you are. So that's something that I think is very unique that I don't think any other scholarship does. So for example, there's 3-round interviews. In the first round interview, you are met with other high schoolers that are interested in the scholarship as well. So there are many activities. For example, you work in a team and you have to be, you can't use one hand, and then you have to build a Lego and memorize. But what they're looking for is how you work in a team, how you collaborate. So I think that's how they see who moves on to the next round. But also they look at like who you are. I feel like just who you represent yourself. But most importantly, I think what I did was just be who I am, and I think that's what got me to the point where I'm at.
That's fantastic. Now, after you get to that next stage, they come down to, do you tell them what college you're hoping to attend?
Yeah, so then after the first round interview, you list the 4 colleges and the preferences that you want. So Posse Bay area is connected with Boston, Lehigh, St. Olaf, and Puget Sound. So all of those 4 schools, you nominate them. And then after that, you wait about, I think for me it was about 3 weeks. And then you get another email saying, oh, you're a semi-finalist. And then that second round interview is a one-on-one interview with a Posse staff member and the alumni from like the college you listed as your first option. And then after that, it's a whole bunch of other questions. They want to get to know who you are, where you come from, your education background, so all of that.
So talk about the interview process, because as I understand it was like 4 hours long or something like that.
Correct.
So
yeah.
why don't you tell me a little bit about the interview process?
Yeah, so the first round interview, I was very nervous. I was shaking, but once I got to the building, I saw a lot of high schoolers coming in. And I knew I was expecting a 3-hour interview, which is, crazy. I thought of it at first, but, the time went by very quick, but they separate the time into different activities. So it goes by very quick, whether you present about a socio-economic issue, like you think minimum wage and living wage should be equal. And then the second round interview is much shorter. I think for me it was about 30 minutes, but it's a one-on-one interview, as I mentioned before, with the Posse staff and a scholar from the university you chose. And then they just start asking you a bunch of questions of, like, for example, they asked me, oh, what's my favorite hobby, or what's my favorite subject at school? And then a lot of questions to get to know you more better. And then finally the third round interview is like the longest interview for me. It was about 4 hours. It started at 4 and it ended at 7:30 or about 8. And then throughout the whole, you get in the room with all finalists. For Lehigh, there was 24 finalists and only 10 get nominated. So yeah.
Wow. Okay. So we go from all the way. We're starting at 21,000.
Yes, correct.
To 500, and then we're down to this
24.
final 24. So what's the process from 24 to you winning the scholarship?
Yeah, so it all came down to the December 4th. That was the day I had my interview. So that day I was, getting prepared, just trying to calm myself, trying to calm my nerves, be relaxed throughout the whole interview. And then the first activity they wanted to do is a bingo activity, which I found pretty fun and really fun. And what they had is a bunch of activities, extracurriculars of the students in the same room as me. So for example, I taught a film elective, and it said, oh, find someone who taught a film elective in the summer. Then you have to go and find and meet each person. And then after that, there was another activity where you work as a group, and then all the deans of admissions, admissions team, come around and listen to what you want to say. They ask certain questions like, oh, what was a big event in your life that had a huge shift on you, or what is something that impacted you, or someone who is a great role model for you. And then after that, the final activity that they wanted us to do is get in the group as well. And for example, imagine if you were a principal and then this problem arose, what would you do as a principal? And then after that, they were like, okay, now just keep your phone on alert and be ready to, if you ever receive a text message. So my interview ended at 7:30. I was like, okay, I did what I did. I showed who I am in the whole process. And I was like, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And then at 10:30, I got a text message from Posse. And I was like, okay, then I was ready. They were like, okay, can you hop on the Zoom call and just wait in the waiting room? And then they told me the news, and I just got straight into tears. I hugged my family and just was very thankful. So.
What would you tell